Hi everyone, welcome to Ray's Reads. We are currently on our November book, Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. This is a classic book. It reminds me a lot of The Color Purple. It also reminds me a little bit of Eve's Bayou. So early 1900s vibe in the way that people interact with each other, the way that communities came together. That's what it reminded me of a lot. So let's get started. We've got Janie, our main character, and she gets married 3 different times throughout the book. And we find so many interesting things that happen with each husband and more about how she learns about herself. So it's a journey of love, right? Because Janie grows up with her grandmother, and her grandmother's like, girl, love doesn't exist. Like, you're gonna get married for stability. You're gonna get married so that your class status can rise up and you won't have to worry about being hit. And Janie wanted more. She thought that there would be love, but that wasn't what was afforded to her. So her first husband, she marries him, and they go on this adventure, and then we continue on with the story. So overall, there's so many beautiful themes in here, so let's get started. So like I said, her grandmother tells her, look, like, you might be in love, but sis, this is the reality of the world. So on page 18 she says, honey, the white man is the ruler of everything, as far as you've been able to find out. Maybe it's some place way off in the ocean where the black man is in power, but we don't know nothing but what we see. So the white man throw down the load and tell the nigger man to pick it up. He pick it up because he have to, but he don't tote it. He hand it to his woman folks. The nigger woman is the mule of the world, so far as you can see. I've been praying for it to be different with you, Lord, Lord, Lord. And that's the reality and a theme of what Janie goes through, that black men get stuck with a load, and the black men don't carry the load, that they continue to pass it on to the black woman. And you can see that when Janie moves in with her first husband, who's Logan. He doesn't beat her. However, he does expect her to do more work inside and outside the house than Janie wanted to do. And he keeps telling her that she's spoiled. He's also significantly older than Janie and is only interested in the marriage for her as a worker versus her being a lifetime partner. So there's no love there. Janie's like super young, and she's like, what am I doing with this old man? And she comes across her soon-to-be second husband, whose name is Joe, but he goes by Jody. And he charms his way into having her leave with him. And she's like, bye. And so she goes on with her second husband, Jody. And Jody is like an entrepreneur. He's like, I don't need a 9 to 5. I'm going to get it done. Starts his own town, becomes the mayor of it, builds it all up. And so now she's the mayor's wife. And she wants to connect with the people there, but Jody keeps reminding her that she's the mayor's wife and she's not on the same level as anyone else. And they talk about it like, it's different when white folks are being rude to black people, but when black people are being rude to black people and have a hierarchy there, that was a whole nother level, and that becomes an issue in the town. And even Janie realizes it as well. And so that was something that starts picking up. And then he also wants Janie to be just a trophy wife. Like, he doesn't want her saying anything. He wants her to do what he says when he says it. So still, they might have had more passionate moments, but he was still wanting to control her, and she wouldn't be her own person. So he actually passes away because he isn't as old as her first husband, but he is older than Janie by like 10-ish years versus her first husband was more like 20. And so he passes away, and then we've got her third husband, who is younger than her. And she's very careful because she doesn't know if he's trying to get with her because of her age and because of the money she now has from being the mayor's wife and all of those things. And she falls in love with this man. But guess what? Even when she actually finally finds love, she has to face that he could still be manipulative, he could still be abusive. And it's like, damn, like I wanted to have love and experience love, and I still have to be reminded that I am smaller, that I am not in control. And that's what happens the whole time. And it's so sad that she finally gets this love, and she has a complicated relationship with her last husband, who is Tea Cake, and he passes away. And it hurts her because it's like heartbreaking, but it's also freeing her from this, like, I wouldn't say toxic, but maybe this very manipulative relationship where there's so much love there, but there's also so much deceit. Like, Tea Cake gambles and has all of these stories of what happened, and those were always the truth or seemed like to be the full truth. So it's just difficult to see that even when she finds love, it's still not everything she wants it to be. And I think that's what we come to at the end when she finally gets home and she's like, I've experienced all of these different relationships, all of these different ideas of partnerships, and who cares? Like, I'm here, and I don't know. Like, I personally don't know if I know how she wanted to end this. I've heard and I read that people said it was like a journey of self-love and she finally loved herself more. But I think she had experienced enough of life to be okay on her own. I think that's what it was. And that could be a definition of self-love, but she went out there, she tried, and she realized it wasn't all it was cracked up to be, but she lived and she learned and she came home stronger than ever. Like, she told those people in the town, like, they need to mind their business. Like, they don't know what's going on. And that was another theme that happened with her friend, that there was always people whispering and people talking about her, and she decided she just wanted to live her life how she wanted to. And it was so defiant, but so beautiful, so beautiful. I also would like to talk on the topic of colorism that comes up with Janie's third husband, Tea Cake, and how a local woman in the town actually talked about how she disliked Black people, being mixed race herself. And Janie, of course, is also mixed race. She's about 1/4 Black. And the dynamic that happened there, and how this woman would openly talk about hating Black people and feeling that they should be separate, and the start of colorism happening there. And Janie didn't agree, but she would listen to her. And this woman continued to berate and belittle people that were of darker skin tones and wanted separation, which is still a huge issue that happens today and has real consequences for people who are dark skinned. And so that was really interesting. And when I watched the movie, Michael Ealy actually played Tea Cake, and they took out the whole colorism part of the book. And I was kind of disappointed, like really disappointed, that that part was taken out, because it was an important piece and is very relevant to what is still happening today, and kind of proved the point of colorism and the issues that are already happening in Hollywood by erasing a dark-skinned character and having a light-skinned character. So there's so much there. It was a little disappointing, but I did love how the book address colorism and how it was important to the story. So there's a moment where Janie talks while all these men are talking, and basically kind of shuts them up about their ideas of Black women and who they're in charge of. She says on page 89, "Sometimes God gets familiar with us women folks too and talks his inside business. He told me how surprised he was about y'all turning out so smart after him making you different. And how surprised y'all is gonna be if you ever find out you don't know half as much about us as you think you do. It's so easy to make yourself out God Almighty when you ain't got nothing to strain against but women and chickens." And this was a moment of like, settle down there and realize that y'all don't know everything. And this was a moment of rebellion. Like, she says, I'm not submitting to you. And it was just beautiful to see that happen. Lastly, so after she had to kill Tea Cake because he had gotten bit and had rabies and was going to kill her, she has to go on trial, right? And so she's finally finished with all of her 3 husbands. She has to mourn the loss of someone she actually loved. And still at the trial, she is being judged by men. Like, there's only men that are deciding her factor, let alone white men. White men are deciding what her life will be, whether she goes to jail for shooting him or if it was just an unfortunate thing that had to happen and it was self-defense. And that was sad to me. Like, it was the reality of the situation, and it was a sad reality. Like, at the end of the day, she was saving her life, and at the end of the day, men still decided if her life was worth saving or if they were going to believe her. And that is literally our reality still to this day. Like, to this day, we still have men talking about what we should be doing and where we should be going and making laws that change our reality. So that was something that really stuck out to me. And I think I appreciate her walk home after all of this even more. That walk to get back to her home after everything that had happened, she was stronger than ever, but like, she was probably also done. And sometimes it's really how life is. Like, you live, you learn, but sometimes you don't want to do anything because you're like, I'm tired of learning for a second. And I think that's important, like, to take breaks and be like, this is all I could give right now. And I've learned, and I'm so grateful, but I'm going to take some time to recoup, to reset before I go out living and learning again. And that's how I feel. So thank y'all for tuning in for this. And I will see y'all in December for the last review. Bye.